In 1994, a game came out that would kickstart a universe. Warcraft, Orcs, and Humans. It gave players a choice. Would you command the noble humans in a desperate defense of their kingdom? Or would you lead the invading Orcish Horde in a brutal conquest? Both sides had their own story, and, crucially, their own victory. If you played as the humans, you crushed the orcs at Blackrock Spire and saved the day. If you played as the orcs, you sacked the human capital of Stormwind, killed their king, and took control of the land. So, if both sides won, who really won the first war? Unfortunately, it's not as simple as picking a side. To get the real story, we have to look at how events of both campaigns were blended together to create the official history of Azeroth. It's a story of tragedy, betrayal, and consequences nobody saw coming. And it sets the stage for total war. If you picked the humans, your campaign was a heroic but increasingly grim story of defense. You were a commander for the Kingdom of Azeroth, what later lore usually calls the Kingdom of Stormwind, led by the good king Llane. The whole thing kicks off not with some massive invasion, but with scattered reports of weird, green-skinned monsters attacking farms. Your first few missions are all about containment, securing towns like Grand Hamlet, fighting off raids, and just trying to figure out what you're up against. A huge moment in the human story is rescuing Sir Anduin Lothar, the champion of Azeroth, from the dead mines. Getting him back gives the human armies a legendary hero to rally around. But just as you gain this ally, you find out where the real threat was hiding. The Guardian of the Realm, Medivh, this super powerful mage meant to protect Azeroth, is revealed to be a traitor who opened the Dark Portal and let the orcs into Azeroth in the first place. You see, he was possessed by the Dark Titan Sargeras, making him the secret architect of the whole invasion. This bombshell leads to a massive mission where Lothar and Medivh's own apprentice, Khadgar, led an assault on his tower, Karazhan. In gameplay terms, your forces storm the stronghold, but in the lore, it's Lothar and Khadgar who personally cut Medivh down to stop the Guardian before he can doom the world any further. That had a crazy side effect. At that exact moment Medivh died, the orc warlock Gul'dan was inside his mind, digging for secrets. Especially the location of the Tomb of Sargeras. The psychic backlash of Medivh's death knocked Gul'dan into a coma. The human campaign then builds toward a massive counterattack. You push the orcs back, burning their fortresses at Rockard and Stoneard before you lay siege to their ultimate stronghold, Blackrock Spire. The final mission is a total victory, where you destroy the Spire and end Blackhand's grip on Azeroth. The ending movie shows a huge celebration in Stormwind, with you being hailed as the savior of the kingdom, and even crowned as its new king. But even in this happy ending, there's a dark twist. A mission briefing late in the game almost casually mentions that King Llane was assassinated by a half-orc spy, Garona. It's a shocking detail that's almost thrown away, but it's a critical piece of the puzzle. The human campaign tells a story of successfully fighting off the invaders, but it also plants the seeds of a much darker official truth. It's a victory, but one that costs them their king, and reveals just how deep the rot of their world went. Playing as the orcs is a whole different ballgame. This isn't a story of defense. It's one of pure, brutal, savage conquest. You're part of the Horde, an army of orcs twisted by demonic magic who have crossed over from their corrupted homeworld of Draenor. Your goal? To take Azeroth for yourselves. You start as an orc commander serving the tyrannical war chief Blackhand the Destroyer. And later lore strongly hints this commander is none other than Orgrim Doomhammer himself, before his rise to power. Your first missions are all about getting a foothold in the New World. You build your first bases in the foul swamps of sorrow and the Borderlands. The towns you're ordered to burn to the ground, like Grand Hamlet, are the very same ones the humans were trying to protect in their campaign. And while the humans rescue Lothar from the dead mines, the orcs have a mission that sends you into the same mines for a much darker reason: to hunt down and execute Blackhand's runaway daughter, Griselda, on his orders. The orc campaign is a relentless, bloody march across human lands. You sack Sunnyglade, crush the defenders at Goldshire and Moonbrook, and burn many other villages to the ground. You aren't just winning battles, though. You're systematically taking the Kingdom of Stormwind apart, piece by piece. Along the way, you raid Northshire Abbey and free the half-orc spy Garona from human captivity, so she can start working for the Horde and the Shadow Council again. The climax of the orc story is a brutal piece of internal politics. Right as the Horde is preparing for its final attack on Stormwind Keep, War Chief Blackhand becomes a liability. The death of Medivh has put Gul'dan, Blackhand's main patron, into a coma. With the Shadow Council's backing, and no warlock overlord actively pulling the strings, the ambitious Orgrim Doomhammer challenges and kills Blackhand, seizing control of the Horde for himself. In the game, this is represented by you turning on Blackhand's orc forces and emerging as the new war chief. With the new leader at the helm, the Horde launches its final, unstoppable attack. Stormwind Keep falls. During the chaos, Garona assassinates King Llane, someone that she had come to respect while under supposed magical compulsion from the Shadow Council. The human armies are completely shattered. The orc ending cinematic is of total domination. You're declared the new war chief, feasting while human lands burn, and the Shadow Council whispers of new lands to conquer across the sea. A direct setup for Warcraft II. This ending feels really final. It's not just a win, it's the start of a new world order. So, who really won? The answer, pieced together from the games, novels, and later lore, is the orcs. The orc campaign's ending is the one that became official history. Stormwind was sacked, King Llane was killed, and the human kingdom of Azeroth fell. The survivors, led by Anduin Lothar, had fled north across the Great Sea to the Kingdom of Lordaeron, hoping to find new allies to keep the fight going. The desperate escape is what directly leads to the creation of the Grand Alliance of Lordaeron and Warcraft II, Tides of Darkness. But the real story isn't just the Orc campaign. It's a hybrid, a carefully built timeline that grabs critical moments from the human campaign to make the story richer and more complicated. Two of the most important events from the human story are considered canon. First, the death of Medivh. The human mission to kill the corrupted Guardian absolutely happened. Anduin Lothar and Khadgar really did track him down in Karazhan, and killed him. That single act cut off Sargeros's direct influence over Azeroth, and blasted Gul'dan into a coma while he was rummaging through Medivh's mind for the tomb of Sargeros. That, in turn, gave Orgrim Doomhammer the opening he needed to kill Blackhand and become the Horde's new, more effective war chief. So, in a weird twist, a key human victory actually helped a smarter, more dangerous leader rise to power in the Horde. Second, is what really happened with Garona Halforcen. In both versions, she kills King Llane. Later lore explains that Garona, who had grown to respect and even care for Llane, was being magically controlled by the Shadow Council, conditioned through Gul'dan, and was forced to kill him against her will. Llane's murder at the hands of someone he trusted destroyed human morale, and it guaranteed Stormwind's fall during the Horde's final siege. So, the definitive history of the First War looks like this. The Horde invaded through a portal opened by a corrupted Medivh working with Gul'dan. The humans, led by King Llane and Anduin Lothar, fought a desperate war for years. Lothar and Khadgar discovered Medivh's betrayal and killed him at Karazhan, accidentally knocking Gul'dan into a coma. With Gul'dan out of the picture, Orgrim Doomhammer killed Blackhand and took over the Horde. Doomhammer led the final victorious assault on Stormwind City. And during the chaos, a mind-controlled Garona assassinated King Llane, shattering human resistance. Stormwind fell, and Lothar led the survivors north to Lordaeron, setting the stage for the Alliance and the Second War. The First War was an absolute victory for the Orcish Horde, but it wasn't a clean sweep. They didn't wipe out the humans, who lived to fight another day. And key actions by the humans, like killing Medivh, had massive, unforeseen consequences for the Horde's own chain of command. Fusing two contradictory game endings into a single story is a brilliant bit of world building. It just shows how Blizzard took what was a simple choice in a 90s RTS and, through a whole lot of retconning, turned it into a complex narrative foundation. But what do you guys think? Did you play the original DOS Orcs and Humans? Which story did you happen to find more compelling? The doomed defense or the brutal conquest? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Well, my friends, in the end, Warcraft, Orcs and Humans tells two different stories of victory, but only one became history. The Orcs were the undeniable winners of the First War, conquering the Kingdom of Stormwind and forcing its people into exile. Yet, crucial pieces of the human campaign, their heroic stands, the discovery of a traitor, and the slaying of a fallen guardian were woven into the official story, adding those beautiful layers of tragedy and irony. This blended history, born from two conflicting endings, didn't just pick a winner. It perfectly set the stage for the next amazing game, Warcraft II, Tides of Darkness, turning that regional conflict into a world war. The fall of Stormwind wasn't the end of the story. It was just the end of the beginning.